He was part of the space community. We'd promote stuff together. And just randomly one day, in fact, it was March last year, I get a phone call from him saying, "Ian, I'm leaving. I'm leaving Discovery because I've been made an offer in New York. Would you want to go for it?" And I said, "Hell yeah!" You know, because at the time I was just blogging to survive. I was putting out like 10 blogs a day just to make a pay packet, and so I wanted that I wanted a job like that, and it's changed my world. It's an absolutely incredible job. And the point is, if 140 characters did all this for me, what can it do for the Mars community? I mean, just think of Brian the Bat. Just one tweet hit mainstream press. That was just one isolated tweet, and at the time I wasn't even that active on Twitter. I mean, obviously now I'm a little bit too active. Apparently I'm the most prolific Twitterer on the whole of Discovery Channel, which is kind of cool and very geeky as well. But so basically, using Twitter and social media to promote your science, you need to build a community around your brand. Your brand is Mars. Your brand is the project you're doing on Mars. Your brand is the science you're trying to get out there into the public mindset. Learn from companies and mainstream media. I mean, learn from Discovery Channel. I mean, there's a reason why last month Discovery Channel called a conference that went on for 4 hours, how to use Twitter. And it was like, oh God, you know, Twitter is the most basic thing in the world. Obviously you need to learn how to use it, but Discovery Channel and all these companies are realizing its power. And so they are putting aside 4 hours of your life to teach you on the ways of Twitter. I mean, I find that amazing, but learn from that. There's a big reason why the media and companies are using social media to promote their brand. You never know who's following you. As I said, Geir Barstein from the Norwegian Press was following me. I didn't even realize. I didn't know who this guy was, and suddenly he publishes something about Brian the Bat and it goes viral. CNN's following me. BBC guys are following me now. I've got journalists from very big mainstream media using me as a source. The weird thing is, I'm using Twitter as a source as well. I'm connecting to these guys. It's very much a big feedback loop. I'm getting a lot from the community. I'm feeding a lot in it, and people are taking leads from me, which is a weird situation for a guy in the media to be. So I can see that now, and before I didn't see it. Could it change policy? As I said before, very politically orientated to go to space flight at the moment. There's a lot of problems in human space flight, NASA's redirection, who knows what's going on. But you need to get the word out about human space flight, sending a man to Mars, sending a man to the moon, sending a man to asteroids. I mean, just try and get it onto the agenda. And the only way you can do that is by changing the public mindset. And the public mindset is ingrained now in social media, especially the young mindset, the kind of mindset that you want to be brought into the science community. And I know that people that follow me, I know that people that follow other people that are very into space, they've changed their minds about what they're doing with their lives and joined some kind of education. In fact, there's a student who was an art student. Because she's been following me and a whole group of us online, she changed her mind and decided she wanted to do an astronomy degree. And it's just little things like that that can have a massive change overall, and social media allows you to do that. Grassroots is a global promotion. You can get to kids, you can get to anybody in the same field as you and outside your field. It's a global reach, and you can have a massive community following you. As I say, it's a feedback loop. Science goes into social media, and you can pull science out of social media. And you've got to bear that in mind. It's a two-way street. You're not pulling from Twitter and Facebook all the time. You have to put something back in to actually make the system work. Build your community. This is the first and foremost thing you should be doing. Build a community around your brand. Have people who share a passion, the same passion as you, to come into the fold. Build it around, like the Mars Society. Build a brand around the Mars Society. I know all of us would be following that Twitter account, or I know there's a Twitter account for the Mars Society, but also branch out and try and get other groups in and try and expand the reach of the group. And that's basically what community means in social media. And I'll show you a few ways of doing that. All right. First of all, keep it on topic. You know, we're promoting science at the end of the day. So you don't want to be going too far off topic from the Mars impetus. But then again, if it's your personal account, don't become so bland as to be just promoting Mars, because people have got a very short attention span, and once they've heard Mars a few times, they go, oh yeah, whatever. Promote other areas of science as well. Any kind of manned work in other groups as well. Promote other people's stuff. But the general thread is keep it on topic. For me, on my personal account, it's all about space. I've also got 5 rabbits at home, so obviously I post pictures of my rabbits. I've got a hamster. I post pictures of my hamster because people like that. They like to have that personal response. Reply to messages. This is key. If you're going to have a two-way street on social media, reply to messages. As simple as, it's like with email. Say if you get an important email in, you're going to respond. Social media, unfortunately, it can be considered to be very flimsy in a lot of ways. But if you get direct messages, if you get replies on Twitter, if you get Facebook messages or anywhere, make sure you replied. At least, I mean, obviously when the group gets so big, it becomes a massive management problem. And a lot of people say, oh, I have lots of emails in a day. Well, I haven't got time to get back to all these Twitter reply messages. But it's worth it because it enhances your community around your brand. And 140 characters, that's not a lot of effort. And to be honest, I do most of my communication now through Twitter because it's so easy. My emails are incredibly short now, so it's maybe very brief. Provide a service to mankind. Use your Twitter feed, use your Facebook to promote science. And not just from your own group, not just from your own articles. I mean, I used to just promote my own blog posts because I thought people are really that interested in what I've got to say. It turns out they're not. So I put other people's opinions out there, other people's articles, other stuff, but in such a way that I put a personal spin on it. I put my own opinion on it. So say if there's a new article about human spaceflight, I'll say, oh, this is a really cool article, you should read it. And it's not necessarily just me, but provide a service to your followers that enriches your community. Be accurate. I mean, that goes without saying, because you have to be a trusted resource, so you have to be accurate. Get involved in the conversation. I hate the word conversation. It's used too much in social media as it is, but it's good. It's a good description of what's going on. Go onto Twitter, go onto Facebook, look for other advocacy groups, look for people that have a passion, the same passion as you. Get involved in what they're doing. On Twitter, it's so easy. You just do a search for space, and then you see who's talking about space. You can jump in on the conversation. It's almost like you're overhearing a conversation in a pub. You jump into that conversation, you've made some friends, you bring them into the fold, you pass your card out. It's the same thing online, but these people are spread far and wide. I've got friends in Brazil, I've got friends in Romania, I've got friends in China, I've got friends in Japan, Australia. My global outreach is huge now, just because I'm using Twitter. And I'm getting a lot of, that has a huge impact on the way I promote science. Create your own conversation. Obviously, that's an easy one. Mars. I mean, you can change policy by creating this conversation, by getting people involved in your message. And on Twitter, it's easy. Create a hashtag, like I said, for Meteor Watch. You could do one specifically for this event. In fact, I created one because I noticed there wasn't one. It was just MSC 2010 because I knew that that would probably get people interested. And if there's anybody else tweeting, which there's not many other people apart from Jeff there, so there's not many people in this room tweeting the message. But then again, Twitter isn't the only way of doing it, but it is a very modern way of doing it, and you can actually create your own conversation. You create your own method of getting that mindset out in there into the world. Yeah, you don't know who's following you. Gear Barstein, Brian, enough said. Now, there's a story behind this. Show your inner freak. In fact, it was very early on when I was using Twitter. I had a very big mix of things I was promoting. It was like I was promoting my science writing on one hand, but I wanted to promote my rabbits as well. I'm also a big fan of music, so I have this account with this social media website called blip.fm, so I'd often tweet out my music that I'm listening to at the moment. And people got really pissed off at me. They say, Ian, get back onto space. This is a space feed. You're involved in space. I'm not going to follow you if you don't just get back on topic. And I kind of had a crisis about this. I was thinking, I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying this. I'm promoting space, I'm promoting science, but I'm also promoting me. I mean, I want to be myself online because that's what people are going to actually respond to. And anyway, I kind of debated this with a few friends on Twitter. And one of my followers said, Ian, just just listen to me now. You've got to show you're an inner freak. You've got to show your inner personality to actually succeed anywhere. That had a resounding message for me. You have to have personality. You have to be personal with people that follow you. You have to be honest about yourself. Don't just promote space. Be yourself. I mean, obviously, with like institution Twitter accounts, there's a little bit less bend. You don't want to just be about you when you're actually trying to promote your own group of many, many people. But still, personal accounts should be about you, first and foremost. So personality is another key element of Twitter, of Facebook. People love people, not RSS feeds. I mean, obviously, with any website, you have an RSS feed that keeps you up with all the news, and it just gets delivered to the people that are following it. But on Twitter, on the social media web, people don't like that. People don't like your self-promotion. They want to interact with the person. They want to know the inner freak, if you like, of that person. What makes them unique? What makes them individual? Give opinions. There's so many people that are so they've got so many problems with actually promoting their own opinion on certain matters, especially in a politically charged environment like space. Talk about your opinion, get a discussion going, and most importantly, have fun, because if you're not having fun, what's the point in using it? I mean, obviously, Twitter, Facebook, social media isn't for everybody, but if you have fun, that's half the battle. Be quirky, be unique. I mean, NASA's doing a great job at the moment of promoting their robots. They've all got their own Twitter accounts, and they're quirky, they're fun. I mean, every day I'm in communication with Voyager 2. I find that amazing. There's a guy just relaying what's going on with Voyager 2, where it is, and how far away it is, how long it takes for light to get there. I think that's a great outreach tool. And also the new Robonaut 2 that's going to the space station, it's got its own account. It actually communicates in the first person. Obviously, it's a guy behind a computer, but still, it's a great promotion tool, and you can afford to be quirky and as unique as these robots. I mean, there's absolutely no problem with that. You can put your own spin on things. Don't be unprofessional, that goes without saying, especially if you're promoting your own group. You don't want to be, cursing online, because that just gives you a real bad reputation. So you don't want to do that. But personal accounts is a little bit more bend. But ultimately, you want to be seen as a professional guy who's got an opinion, but also knows where to draw the line. Take your arguments outside. There's been some disastrous occasions where people use social media to shout at other people or get into a massive row. And there was a recent, example of that between two. I didn't realize they could be warring astronomical societies, but they didn't like each other, and they took it onto the social media. And of course, everybody was watching the Twitter feed of this confrontation that went on. As it turned out, 2 people got sacked, and I think they probably lost a lot of followers because of it. And that's not good. You want to take it offline, send them a direct message, send them an email, get them on the phone. Take your arguments outside. There's no place for it on social media. It's been tried. Have debates, that's fine, but don't get in arguments. That's just pointless. And all this boosts your exposure. Having a personality online, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why I've been featured so many times, because I decided to have a personality with my Twitter feed. I could be very bland, but I know, it would limit the number of people that follow me. Now, before I came out here, I was just kind of intrigued, because I haven't actually asked this question before to anybody on Twitter or anybody on social media. And as it turns out, Discovery Space followers have now ballooned to 8,000 people. I've got 3,000 on my personal account, so I've got over 10,000 people I just sent this question out to, and my response was pretty huge. I was just kind of intrigued by my followers. What value do they get out of science in social media? And these are some of the best responses I had, and each one is a very strong message, I think. And a lot of these people, they don't have a background in space, they don't have a background in astronomy, they just have a passion for it, and that is it. And the first one here, Tavi, in fact, she's actually an amateur astronomer who's a good friend of mine online. Science communication through social media equals broader horizons and greater awareness for the general public, people like me. So obviously it's a great communication tool. Social media is a sharing experience. Science shines when it's shared. It brings the process back out into the open, and I found that pretty incredible. That's a big statement coming from, and I know that TerraZoom is, I don't know his or her real name, but it was good to get that kind of response. It means that those without science degrees not working in the thick of it, but have a passion, can still be up to date and involved. That speaks for itself.